Hey everyone, Erica Becker here, your host of the GC360 podcast, where we have some of the most interesting people in the area and business owners on our show. And today, to kick off Women's History Month, I actually get two awesome boss ladies on my show. I'm super excited. I have from Signature Premier Properties, two real estate agents, Melissa Vetter and Winifred Helfer. And I am very excited to have you guys on my show today. Thank you so much for coming out and being on the show.
Really happy to be here.
Yeah.
Really happy to be here.
We're excited. Of course.
Absolutely.
So you both work with Signature.
Yes.
And have you been working there a long time, or how long have you been doing it?
Well, I've been selling real estate personally for 11 years, and I didn't start out with Signature Premier Properties, but I've been really happy since I guess I joined about 5 to 6 years ago, which has flown by. So
Wow.
It's been incredible.
Yeah. And what about you?
I'm working there 5 years. It is the first real estate company that I started with, and I absolutely love it.
Yay.
Would not think about changing.
That's great. And
Yeah.
you guys are right across the street,
I
too.
know. We're neighbors.
It's so great.
It's great.
And so I'll ask this question to both of you too. What made you've been in real estate for 11 years, Melissa. What kind of got you interested in this world of real estate?
Okay. Well, I started out in advertising sales. I was working in Manhattan.
Okay.
I did online, print, TV. I was with HGTV, which was probably one of my favorites.
That's
It was a lot of fun.
awesome.
So the content was great. The people were great. And, I got different experiences, but then it was time to raise a family, and I didn't really want to commute into Manhattan anymore.
Sure.
So I was reevaluating what my options were. But a friend of mine actually at HGTV, her sister was in appraisal work in where I live, and she said she always needs some help, so it's worth contacting her and learning a bit about that. So I started learning about appraisals. She did mostly broker price opinions, so it wasn't like getting out to the houses. It was more just looking at comps.
Oh, okay.
So I started just learning about all the information that goes into a listing that way.
A lot.
And it is a lot. And it should be a lot, right? But I realized I didn't want to be behind the desk. I wanted to get out there. I wanted to be with people. I wanted to get inside and see the homes, see kind of all the fun things that you see like on HGTV.
Yeah.
So I started to consider getting my license. I went to Malloy. I took the course, and I've been selling ever since.
Awesome.
It's been great.
Yeah, that's a great
I enjoy
story.
what I do. I really do.
Definitely. And it's probably good that you, even though it's probably not as exciting, the way you started out, getting all the back end information, having an understanding of that before going out probably helped you.
Absolutely. Yep. And you start to kind of just pile each experience on the other. So
Yeah,
it's been
definitely.
really, really great.
So Winifred, how did you get into it?
My story is kind of somewhat different than Melissa's. I mean, I just love real estate. I think it's very exciting. I love helping people. I love helping first-time buyers find their dream home, helping sellers move on to their next destination in life. My career actually started with the big four accounting firms in Manhattan, and I worked in their real estate practices and their commercial. So I did companies like GE, Citibank, Lehman Brothers.
Oh, wow.
So I gained a lot of real estate knowledge from there, and then it just kind of seemed like a natural transition now to help people.
Yeah, it
on an individual
definitely,
basis.
real estate is so important. Like, you are helping people. I mean, where you live next to your health is probably one of the most important things that anyone can do, right? Buying a home, selling a home, and like you said, so much goes into it.
Definitely.
So what would you say is your favorite thing about real estate? Is it helping people?
Absolutely. I mean, just the joy and that when you see people's face when they find the home that they want to be in. And then they're always constantly calling you, oh, come over, come see the updates we've done,
that's
you
a
know.
lot of fun, seeing
Or,
the
oh, you know,
end
we have a
results.
baby now and we
Sure.
converted this room into a nursery. and-
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's pretty cool. So I just think that you kind of get to see from start to finish, right? The stress
Yeah.
that's involved to the ease that comes at the end. So
Yeah.
It's really great.
So do you have a lot of clients that kind of like become your friend a little bit, and they invite you over and they update you on things they're doing?
Yeah, I think it's great. It's all about keeping in touch because, we start to help the community, but also to help their friends and family along the way. So you're keeping in touch with them, you're meeting new people through them, and it's just kind of a constant motion.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, people adopt you into their family.
It's true.
It's just, it's just incredible and amazing the kind of relationships you can develop.
Yeah. Well, I think that that's great. And I think that that's the relationship you would want with your real estate agent, because you're trusting them with so much important information.
And that's the key word, trust.
Yeah.
It is a big trust. In all the training that we've done and all the difficult things that people go through in life, death, divorce, real estate really is up there with those things. And you really want to make sure that you're there to guide them through one of the biggest transactions of their life.
Definitely.
So, and they only do it, typically 2 to 3 times in their life, where we're working with sellers and buyers every day.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to definitely dive deeper into the sellers and buyers market right now. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
My father never stops moving, but after he had a brain aneurysm, he had a difficult time getting back to his normal routine. That's when I called Alliance Services. They paired him with Rosa. She developed a custom home care plan that helped him with his recovery.
Rosa helped me gain my independence back.
Alliance Services, helping older adults continue to live well and independent.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the GC360 podcast. I'm your host, Erica, and I'm here with 2 awesome women today talking about real estate. We have Melissa and Winifred, and they were just explaining to me about some of the joys that go into their job and how people really kind of adopt you into their lives, the clients that you have. So kind of to piggyback off of that, do you find with you, I know that you both do selling and you work with sellers and buyers. Is that correct?
Yep, definitely.
So is one of them, and you might have different opinions about this, is one easier to deal with than the other overall? Or is there even a way to
Easier? I just think they're completely different experiences. And sometimes when someone has to do both, they have to realize they have to put both hats on, right? They're working as a seller and they're listening to all these buyers coming into their home, and they may like or not like some of the things that they're saying, but then they have to, on the flip side, when they're buying, realize, they're probably doing the same things that seller is listening to, and whether that seller is liking what they're saying.
Yeah.
So, I enjoy working with both because they really are different experiences. With the seller, you're sitting down and, you're really going through the home. You're seeing the life that they've led in that home, and how to really package it together for the outside buying market through the best way without necessarily their eyes, but your eyes as a professional. And that's hard for some sellers.
Yeah, it's all about managing expectations.
100%.
And there are 2 totally different expectations between sellers and buyers.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, what you said, Melissa, is so true. You really have to have, definitely with sellers, they have to put themselves in the shoes of buyers, walk through without, this isn't my home, this is somebody else coming in and buying. What would I pick apart about this house? What would I like? What would I not?
And that's hard to hear. That's hard to hear. It's hard to do, and then it's hard to hear from somebody that, maybe you know a little bit, but now you're really bringing them to your personal space.
Yeah.
So, you want to definitely show why those things are important to them. On the flip side, with buyers, it's all about setting expectations too. And what happens from start to finish of your offer all the way to getting into contract. And there's a lot that goes into play. And realizing all the different hands that go in through a transaction, whether it's just, it's not just the agent and the buyer. It's the attorneys, it's the appraisers, it's the title closers and inspectors, and your competition and understanding what your competition is. So,
Wow. So would you say that talking about, I guess, this from the seller point of view, when you're going through someone's home with them and asking them to look at it from a buyer's perspective, you mentioned that can be difficult, which I can imagine. Do you have any particular experiences that you can think of that was especially challenging with that, with a particular seller that you're working with?
One that comes to mind was a situation I was asked to come in and give my opinion on a price of a home. This was actually a childhood home of the seller, and she
Personal.
Yeah, very, very personal. She was, she had her own children, and she came back to her childhood home because she had lost her parents, but she was taking care of one.
Wow.
And I think she went through a really difficult time with all of that. And a lot was left to be done with the home. It wasn't well cared for. There was a lot of stuff to be cleared out. And it's very sensitive. So you really have to kind of keep professional, but with a big heart, explain what buyers are looking for. And, providing different professionals that can help you get the job done. Because I think it's one thing to say, I need to list my house and kind of get overwhelmed by it, but then it's like, oh my gosh, now you're telling me to do all these 10 different things, and I don't know where to start. And sometimes, or they don't have the finances to hire those people to help them to do those things. Yeah. It's very easy to have someone do it for you. So you pick and choose,
Sure.
and you do the best you can for each situation. So that was something that was just
Sellers always have to remember they have about 8 seconds to make a first impression when the buyers walk through the doors. So it's really important to be decluttered, to have just crisp, clean lines, because you don't want a picture that you have to draw the buyer's eye to that instead of viewing the home.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
So do you guys, are there any things that you do, and I'm sure that you've had to deal with some challenging situations probably emotionally with people. Is there anything that you do to keep yourself, calm, cool, and collected during times when maybe feathers are a little ruffled?
Yeah, that can happen, I think, sometimes in the industry. You have to remember what it's all about and why you're doing what you're doing. I think, and try and just, it is important to stay calm, and it is important to stay informed. And I think really it's checking all the things off the list that you need to inform your buyer or seller about. I think setting expectations is something that's always rang through my ears to the time that I've been doing this when my first manager was teaching me. To tell them what's next, to tell them this could happen. It may not happen, but it could happen. Be aware. Don't be surprised if it does. So realizing that, because, things can happen, and every transaction is different because every house is different.
Yes.
Every person is different, and why they're doing what they're doing to buy or sell. So you have to kind of change with the situation each time.
Yeah.
They're definitely not cookie cutter.
Yeah, you just have to keep the deal in mind. Somebody wants to sell, somebody wants to buy,
That's right.
and you just need to bridge the gap and
Absolutely.
get to that meeting point that makes everybody happy.
Yeah. So you guys are almost a little bit kind of like, you are bringing people together in that way. You're helping someone sell, and then you're giving someone else the opportunity
That's right.
to have their new place.
To
Truly
create
are
a
like
new
the
life,
bridge,
yep.
right? And that and you have to remember what your job is too. You're not the attorney. You're not the loan officer.
Right.
And it is a team involved in to get the job done.
Definitely. So we're moving into a new season. Spring is hopefully around the corner.
Yeah.
Do you guys find that the market changes seasonally?
Yes.
Definitely, right? So what?
Daily, lately.
Daily, wow.
Lately.
That's gotta keep you
Monthly.
guys on your toes.
Yes,
Yeah,
it does.
For sure.
And that's one thing that is very exciting about real estate and being in this business. You have to stay up on what is going on in the market, whether it's trends, communities, financing. And that's what's exciting about real estate.
Right. It never stays the same.
No, it doesn't. And like Melissa said before, no two transactions are
They're
the same.
really not. They're
Yeah.
not.
Every time you go in, you're always learning something. And that's another thing that I think is so
It's really
great
cool.
about this business.
Cool. It's like a fun,
Yeah.
exciting.
It is.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes. Like, never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah.
But specifically back to why I say daily or at least monthly, everyone's talking about the rates, and the rates climbing, and what's going to happen, what's happening in the coming year. After the holidays, you're usually seeing folks kind of just coming out of the woodworks, and sellers are just coming out of the woodworks of like putting, the holiday wrapping paper away, and now like, okay, I got to clean out the attic. I got to start getting ready for the spring season.
Sure.
But rates started to dip a bit after the holidays, so there was an uptick in contracts in January, which was really encouraging.
Okay.
Yep.
And then now we're just past February, and rates started to climb again, and so things nationally started to kind of slow down again. So it really is like up and down a bit.
Wow.
It's a volatile market right now.
It is. But I do think as much as you turn on the news and, you know, you read online, all the different things going into the market, I think it's really important to think locally and where you live and where you're hoping to buy or sell and what's going on there. You know, as much as maybe things were slowing down in February, I was just at an open house with still a line out the door and multiple offers.
Well,
So
it's great.
it is a good thing, but it's also just understanding that, because I think then there's a lot of people out there like saying now's not the time, I should wait. But if you really need to kind of get into contract in a certain amount of time, you have to realize what that time span is.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, it's just really important that sellers and buyers, you keep an open communication with them. There's buyers that I'm working with now, and I said, listen, if you hear something in the office, you read something in the paper, it doesn't make sense to you, I'm like, call me, I'll explain it to you.
Yeah.
Right. We'll pick it apart. Yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, you might have to get 2/3 of the way into the article to find out really, but they threw out that shocking headline, but 2/3 of the way in, you find out, oh, it's not that shocking after all, is it?
Right.
Sure.
Right.
That's good to know. You guys probably get a lot of calls, especially if things are changing so rapidly, like you said. It's people are probably a little bit
On edge.
apprehensive and on
Yes.
edge about it.
On
Yeah.
edge, right. And, you know, I was talking with a loan officer the other day about, you know, all this talk about recession and the potential for it, and economists going on about it. But, you know, he was saying in turn to me, if you look kind of at the past 40 years of times of recession, rates did go down, appreciation went up on homes, and then it was a hot market. So now you're looking at maybe lower rates but higher appreciated prices on a home. So you're, you know, it's depending on what end of it do you want to look at, what perspective do you want to look about how your money is being spent each month.
Sure. So what do you guys think, if your professional opinion, I know that it's changing a lot and you can't predict the future, but based on your experience, what do you think people can expect for this spring season with the market? How do you feel like it's going with this ebb and flow?
Sellers are thinking about selling, now's the time to do it. Everybody's always like, oh, wait for the spring market, but it's here, and since there is such low inventory, they should take advantage of the opportunity. There's less competition and more leverage right now.
That's right.
That's good advice.
It's always good for a seller to see less inventory.
Yeah, if any sellers are
not
listening,
for a buyer.
call up these ladies and they'll help you out, right? If you have any tip, you kind of gave a good tip just now about sellers. For a seller, right now is a good time.
That's right. Yeah.
If you have anyone who's looking to buy for the first time, what are some tips that you would give people? Because I'm sure there's a lot of first-time buyers listening right now.
Definitely.
It is very key for buyers to get a pre-approval,
Okay.
to go to their lenders and know exactly where they stand. The other thing is also, kind of doing your research. What towns are you looking at? What are your interests? What do you want? To decide where your home is. And then we had some a tip to throw out in the end, a little do it yourself for people, a little curb appeal since it is the spring. So always like giving a fresh coat of paint to the front door, a nice new
Little things
wreath.
go a long way.
Always, brightens it up. You can get a new little doormat there. You put all those little solar lights in.
They do go a long way. They sound so simple, but they really do, because it shows you're taking care of the outside, then you must be taking care of what's going on inside. And back to buyers on advice for them, I mean, I think they also have to realize one size doesn't fit all.
Right.
And loan officers have many options on how to work with the current market on different programs, whether they're putting 5% down or 20% down, or they're doing an adjustable rate mortgage and maybe refinancing in a year after they put equity into the home. So there are many different ways to look at it. That's why the pre-approval is so important.
Yes.
And to not only just get that paper in hand when you're making an offer, but also to understand what are my choices.
Yeah.
You know, here's what I make, here's my credit score, here are my assets. You know,
Exactly.
what are my choices?
Mhm.
Because mine are going to be different than the next person.
Anyone's, yeah.
Right.
Right,
So-
and sometimes buyers even think that they can afford X, Y, and Z, and
Yeah.
then that's not
They
the
realize
case.
that they can't.
Yeah,
And also understanding, you know, what they should be purchasing or not purchasing
Right.
once they get into contract, you know, to
Mm.
maintain their purchasing power. You know, you never want to go out and buy a car necessarily, right in the middle of
Right.
getting, you know, all of your underwriting completed
Yeah.
for your purchase. So there's a lot of steps along the way, like I said at the beginning. For sure.
That's good advice of the pre-approval. And then I love the curb appeal tips.
Yeah.
So just little things like that can help sellers, right, with
Yeah.
selling their home.
And like I said, and the inside and the outside, and I mean, one of the things that I like to offer is a pre-inspection.
Mm.
I do think it's important to get in front of whatever buyer is going to come your way and do their own inspection.
Yeah.
You don't want to be surprised.
right, if there's
you
anything
want to
big
know,
there.
you hopefully
Mhm.
know what's going on inside your home and in the basement with the furnace and the water heater and the electric panel and all those things that get picked apart. But it's best to be ahead of the game and say, oh, we're aware of that. That's being taken care of. Or, oh, we priced the home knowing that it's in that condition.
Right.
You know, and having those skills to negotiate with them on whatever that
That's
is.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a good idea.
Yeah.
So besides, if you're not at an open house or helping someone sign their lease and doing real estate things, what are some other things that you ladies are interested in besides real estate?
I absolutely love to be on the tennis court.
Oh,
And the U.S. Open every year, I cannot wait to go.
really?
Yes, that is my passion. I absolutely love it.
How long have you been
That's
playing
awesome. I've
tennis?
never been.
I've
great.
been playing 10 plus years.
Wow.
So in our town, we have hard true courts. So there's a group of us, and we play
great.
every morning at 8.
Really?
So I can't wait for the weather to
Yeah,
turn,
you
for
need
the
it to
nets to
turn.
go back up, and I can get
Exactly.
back out there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, that's a great hobby to have to also like stay healthy and it's
Yes.
fun, you know.
And you can play with 2 people, 4 people.
Love
It's
it.
inclusive.
Love it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's great.
Well,
My
what is
passion
that?
are my kids right now.
Oh.
I'm in the thick of it with teenage boys
Oh,
playing
wow.
lots of different sports and
How
going
many
to
do
all
you
their
have?
tournaments. I have 2 boys, and they both love lacrosse and basketball and everything in between. It sometimes feels like.
Yeah.
But we also just got a puppy that we're loving.
Wow.
But as far as like an activity, I am starting to play more golf with
Oh.
my family.
Okay.
So I love that. And
Very
it's kind
cool.
of my bonding time with my boys.
Definitely.
And also learning something that I've never really had time for. Not that I know if I have time for it.
Yeah.
But I have the opportunity.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
I was gonna
It's
say
a lot of fun.
between the ups and downs of real estate and 2 teenage boys, I don't know how you have time
You
for
need to
it go.
de-stress somehow. Yeah,
Yeah,
Lots of
definitely.
yoga too. I do love yoga.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I do too. That's
Cool.
great.
Great.
Well, you ladies have been so wonderful in answering my questions, and I know that there are probably like tons of people who are learning something from this conversation. It's a personal thing, like we said, to be buying or selling
Yeah.
your house.
Right.
So I hope that if there's anyone out there who is looking to do either of those things, you can definitely get in contact with these two. So would you both tell the audience the best way to get a hold of you if they need anything?
Sure. Well, we definitely have our Signature Premier Properties website, our own personal websites. We have LinkedIn accounts. I have an Instagram account.
Facebook.
Facebook. We really have kind of
We have
the
them
gamut
all.
of social media. Really easy to Google and find our names with
Yeah.
all of our information.
Sure.
So
What's the
whatever you're
signature-
interested in doing.
What's the website for Signature Premier?
Signaturepremierproperties.com.
Okay, cool. And they can
and-
search both of you guys on there.
100%.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
That's probably the easiest way.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you again for coming
Thank you for
on our
having us.
show. We
Yeah.
love having you. I love talking to you guys and kicking off Women's History Month.
That's right. Awesome.
It's super exciting. Everyone out there, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and learned a lot about real estate questions.
This episode was sponsored by Alliance Services. And once again, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Erica.
Thank you.
My father never stops moving, but after he had a brain aneurysm, he had a difficult time getting back to his normal routine. That's when I called Alliance Services. They paired him with Rosa. She developed a custom home care plan that helped him with his recovery.
Rosa helped me gain my independence back.
Alliance Services, helping older adults continue to live well and independent.